Welcome everybody to today's Ripple Effects Roundtable. We are going to talk about being with a capital B, and how that will make your business better. So I am Daya Naif. I am an associate certified coach with the ICF, an affiliate of Accomplishment Coaching, and CEO and head coach of the Success Partner, which is my own business, and we are a Ripple Effects member. Okay, so these are the few things that we're going to cover here in this short time we have together. So we're going to talk about stress, the actual breaking point, commitment, generating time, and stopping self-sabotage. So quick disclaimer, this is not a substitute for medical advice or therapy. Quick hint, if you've ever Googled, do I need therapy or do I need talk to a medical professional? The answer is probably yes. And I encourage you to go ahead and make that appointment. If you're unsure, you can always call me and we can work through it too. And let's see. So what do you call this? So this lady is going through some sort of situation here. I would invite you to come off mute and share what this feeling, what this picture invokes for you in your own life.
Overwhelming. She's overwhelmed.
Okay.
By whatever. I mean.
By whatever. Yeah, there's a lot of work stuff going on, and this is like really strange, and maybe it's just because I just watched a show recently where the lady was trying to get pregnant, but this looks like an EPT right above her head, and that would be very stressful, especially at
It looks like she just needs a timeout.
Yeah, timeout, exactly, a timeout.
Or maybe a way to prioritize what she needs to engage with first.
Prioritize. Thank you, Atik. All
Just
right.
needing to get away from everything.
I'm telling you, vacation. Great. Okay, so how did you get there? So basically, if we think back and applying this, I need a vacation, I need to prioritize, I'm completely overwhelmed. When we think about this in our own life, what is like this last little curve before we get to the I am totally so there? Anybody will share what their kind of last straw is.
Usually something bad happens.
Something bad happens? Mm-hmm.
Several bad things happen, and you deal with one, and then the last one is like,
I think it may just be a combination of it. And Chris just mentioned several bad things, but maybe you just don't have an answer, and you just need to kind of strategically think of where you have to go, or what you're going to do to get out of this situation, whatever it is, or come out of it.
Yeah, that's great, Tony. That's kind of like a next step. That's like a next step. I like you're coming into a strategy. As you're going into the, oh my gosh, the wheel has flown off and the crap has hit the fan. Anybody else have one they can share, which is pretty reliable to have happened right before that moment?
Or lack of feeling in control.
Yeah. Got it.
And going back to the multiple things happening, they always say, 3 is the magic number. When you get to the third worst thing that's happening, then that might be the breaking point. Like, I can't deal with another thing. How could all of this be on me at once?
Mm-hmm. Yep. One more thing. So in order to have gotten to that one more thing, there were things to begin with, things stacking up. So as your things are stacking up in life, so we all have things, right? We don't wake up in a magical fairy tale world where things are a clean slate every day and everything just kind of magically falls into place. We have a series of choices that we make throughout each day, throughout each week, as we go along in our lives and in our business. Oops. Okay. So another way to look at the choices that we make is through the lens of commitment. And I think this gentleman's name is pronounced Goethe. If anybody, Goethe. Yes. Thank you.
German.
Thank you. So until one is committed, there is a hesitancy, a chance to draw back, always ineffectiveness. So concerning all the acts of initiative and creation, there is one elementary truth, the ignorance of which kills countless ideas and splendid plans, that the moment one definitively commits oneself, that providence moves to. Providence, the universe, the divine. And I'm sure that you've heard, if you've been to any motivational speaker in the last, I don't know, decade, something it's like, as soon as you're on the right path, everything falls into place. So yes, and realistically, we have a lot more work to do, or a lot more responsibility in that process. So let's say that you've made a choice, you're going to make healthy decisions, and say you're going to add complex sugars and not have simple sugars. Each time you are presented with that choice, you make that choice again. So you think about the overall commitment. So of a graphic here of a young woman, a young girl, and she's making some decisions that will affect her young growing self. And the commitment is to be foreseeably, the commitment is for her to be a healthy growing up young person. And so each time she thinks, well, am I going to have a bakery item, or am I going to have a piece of fruit? She's got to look at that commitment to herself. Otherwise, we're on this like teeter-totter. So if you don't have the commitment, if you don't look at something from, say, the 10,000-foot view, you're constantly on this teeter-totter. You're going from what you really want, like I really, really, really want it, and then giving up on getting it. So without that commitment, it's sort of a back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, which could easily be in and of itself the straw that breaks the camel's back and throws you into the complete overwhelm cycle, where you might add to your self-sabotage, which we'll get to in just a minute. So take 1 minute now. I'm actually going to time it. Take 1 minute now and actually write out something that you're committed to. It can be a business thing, a personal thing. It could be something that this is like your true north in one area. So if you pulled out your compass each time you were lost or confused in making a decision, you could pull out this scrap of paper, this Post-it, whatever you want, this note in your OneNote, and say, oh, this is my commitment and this is where I need to go. So I babbled for a few seconds, so you now only have like 45 seconds, but go ahead and jot that down for me. Okay, now we don't have to, but would anyone care to share what they wrote down?
Sure. My goal is to live to be 100 years old.
Okay, that sounds like a great commitment to you and to your family and to us and your impact in the community. That's amazing, Chris. Thank you for sharing that.
Mhm.
Who else has one they will share?
Well, I wanted to, primarily I want to be able to get my three daughters through college without them having to take out loans. So I wonder, basically, one of my goals working is literally to make enough money so I can take care of that.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Would anyone else like to share?
I'll share. One of my goals is to have a quality of life. So, I don't have a good gene pool that I come from, but I make sure that I'm doing what I need to do to live a healthy life.
Amazing. Amazing. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Okay, so now that we all have our commitments written down to where we can see them and hold them to us, we're going to talk a little bit about time and the difference between time and integrity. So time is a human construct. It's so we can get to the train station on time. It's so we could get to this meeting on Zoom on time today, all at the same place at the same time. And it changes. It's a little bit, we're going to have more daylight now than we had a month ago. And and we have a time that we're planting it. I don't know if anybody's a gardener, but I'm gardening now. So there's a time for that. That time wasn't 2 months ago. The time is now. So basically what I would encourage as we're looking at our commitment, and everybody goes, oh, I don't have enough time. Look more toward integrity rather than to time. And then integrity is when your beliefs, words, and actions are all in alignment. So now we have a commitment in some of our goals, or one of our goals as we wrote down today. Keep checking that back into the integrity Venn diagram that I have over here. Let me see if this will make bigger. Okay, so just watch. And they lived happily ever after. All right, so that was probably a refresher for most people. Does anybody have any comments on the Stephen Covey, Franklin Covey 7 habits kind of model there?
7 habits.
Yeah, 7 habits. That's like the brand that it came from. So basically the video demonstration is to put in the big rocks first. I think as a busy culture, we like to put in little things that make us feel better. And this will go into as well as self-sabotage. It's like if you have a big project due or a big proposal due, you suddenly feel inspired to clean out your junk drawer for 3 or 4 hours.
Yep.
Yeah. So that would
Same
be
here.
like I know, right? Little rocks. I remember in law school, I would like clean my bathroom when I'm supposed to be studying and pluck my eyebrows. And that's probably why most of us in my generation don't have eyebrows anymore. But yeah, little things that could possibly actually need to be done. And however, not then. It's not that important.
I've heard the term "eat the frog."
Eat the frog. That's a great one. That's a great one. Does that help you?
Yes.
Inspires you to do it. That's great. Yeah, eat the frog. That's like the thing that we want to put off. So do the thing. So a lot of people that are in sales and marketing, they put their most challenging client calls first, or prospective calls first, when they're fresh and energetic. So yeah, great. Thank you, Tony. So self-sabotage is just another thing that we do as humans to take us off of this commitment path and to ultimately create more stress in our life. So I don't know if anybody's ever done maybe a diet or no diet health plan, something like that, where they encourage you to keep a food journal for a week or 2 weeks without making any changes. And basically the idea is to actually identify where you are now and then see if you can self-identify some of the things that are giving you a payoff, or things where you could make one change more healthy than another item. So kind of along that vein, the first step in stopping self-sabotage and keeping you on the commitment and the low stress business of being is identifying the payoff for your self-sabotage. So 3 of the main self-sabotages that are easily identifiable are using alcohol for stress relief, using comfort food for loneliness, and then using procrastination for fear of failure or fear of success. So I'm not going to call on anybody on this one. I'm just going to let that sit in for a second. So, but this one I will invite you to share. So what are some suitable replacements for stress relief, the comfort food and the fear factor, or the loneliness, I guess, instead of comfort food?
Getting out and having some activities like bike riding or going to the gym. That helps to change your mental attitude, I think.
Even just a walk, even.
Yeah.
Yeah. Change of scenery, change of venue. Let's go from inside to outside, or open some windows, open some blinds. What else? What do people use to overcome their?
Well, somebody once recommended this for me, and it has helped. Look at what you've got. A lot of times I keep worrying about, oh, I have a new client, I don't know if I'll be able to do their work and so on. And I think to myself, well, what if it doesn't? I mean, what if I can't? What's the biggest problem that will happen? Well, I'll lose that client. So big deal. The idea being that if you have enough, if you've got a roof over your head, you can eat enough. All these things are just add-ons. I know. I mean, certain things are necessary, but you can always look to what you have as well. This is the zero limit, right? So I've got a lot of things that I need. The rest is more, I'm basically stressing myself over the cream.
That's great. That's a great analogy. People also keep gratitude journals to do like at night, and I'm always thankful for friends and colleagues, and of course, I like your approach as well. It's like, okay, well, what's the worst that could happen? We like to look at what the best that can happen is, but also what is the worst that can happen? Again, like sometimes somebody asked me for a proposal and I'm like, oh, and, like, okay, I definitely want to explore working with these people. And then, your gremlins come up and it's like, okay, well, what if I don't get the proposal? And then what if I do get the contract and they turn out to be not the best client? Then this is all things that we just have to experience in life. So keeping yourself bolstered up on that, and then being grateful for what you have as well.
One thing that I always work on with clients is the reason why they have set the goal in the first place. What is the real why, right? And that can keep us centered and focused.
Yeah, exactly. The why, definitely looking to that North Star, that commitment, the three beautiful girls going to college, the living a long and healthy life, the what for. So another thing to do, step 3 in overcoming self-sabotage, is plan for the triggers and the roadblocks. So this would be like if one of your go-tos is to enjoy alcohol after work. Well, maybe you don't want to plan a staff meeting at a pub in the afternoon. Maybe you want to plan something different. Or if that's a thing and you always have staff meetings on, I don't know, Thursdays at Buffalo Wild Wings or something like that. Well, okay, plan for your triggers and roadblocks. Say, well, I do need to do something when I get home, or I do want to spend time with my family when I get home. And I know that if I go stressed to that meeting, I will be enjoying myself too much and maybe not. So maybe have a snack before you go. Maybe have a jog around the block before you go, so that when you get there, even though you're in an environment with plenty of triggers, you won't be triggered by them. And of course, remind yourself of your commitment. Keep that Post-it note in your wallet. So when you get there and they say, what are you having? You could say, well, I will have a Coke, please, or something else. Yeah, we all know what we could do. And getting comfortable being uncomfortable. So this is just a skill to build. So this is another thing to keep your triggers or your buttons from being too easily pressed, so that when you're given a decision to do something that's self-sabotaging, to maybe, you know, act out or talk back to a client or something like that. You really would like to build your resilience on being in uncomfortable situations and being able to have the space and be able to handle that without acting out. Will anybody share what's coming up for them?
Can you say that again?
Will anybody share about what's coming up or what are comments about self-sabotage?
I think human beings in general are wired a certain way, and every human being on this planet is somehow by default wired to think negative and worry, some more than others. And it's how we overcome that defines happiness, success. There's other words I could use, they're not coming to me, but I think it's how we're wired in general, and it's a matter of overcoming that negativity in our brains.
I was going to add that I don't even know if it's entirely just how we're wired. I think it's what we were taught, and some of the things that we were taught and what we've surrounded ourselves by is that, you know, we are never good enough with whatever it is that we're doing. And until you're around people who constantly install the opposite into your brain, that you are good enough, you can get to the next level, you can do this new crazy thing that you want to do, it's very hard when you're by yourself to rewire your brain. Like, you need external influences to help you do that. Because I am definitely that person that's super hard on myself, and everyone's like, you're doing amazing, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, no, I'm not. Let me go in my little cave and pout in the corner, like, because it's not good enough, right? But I started realizing that some of that was purely industry. In some of the industries that I was in, that's just the mentality. And so not being around that type of mentality has been really helpful, and not putting these excessively high goals that are just unreasonable based off of like what everyone else wants, not actually what I want. So making that transition has been a challenge, but being aware of that, I think has been the best thing. And dealing with, you know, things that come up, I like to practice. Well, did you die? Was it really that bad? It wasn't. I do that with clients all the time. I'm like, so what happens if it does happen? You're like, oh, it just, you know, this happens. I'm like, okay, wasn't that bad? No. Okay, we can move on now.
Yeah.
You know, I think part of that is also utilizing, and it really wasn't one of these points, but I think utilizing your network, and not utilizing your network in a way so that you don't make any decisions. But I think you need to be able to have certain people that you're able to check in with. It might be a significant other, it might be a mentor, it might be a coworker, it might be a subordinate, to kind of check in where you're going, what you're doing. And over the years, I've done a lot of team selling where multiple people were in a call, so to speak. And I've gotten in the habit to always kind of check in for both of us. You know, what you get out of that? What did, you know? And I think you learn more than anything else. So you're able to kind of come to different conclusions going forward, and also be a little bit more strategic as far as you're going to handle things in the future.
Yeah, Tony and Christine, you both brought up community and having a community that's supportive of your goals, and that, you know, that may or may not be your friends and family. It may be your colleagues, or it may be a mastermind group, or it may be a group like this, a Ripple Effects community, people you can reach out to and have them, you know, hold your feet, test your feet, and say, is this the way you want to go? Or let's play this out. Let's run a scenario. Let's, you know, make your pitch to me, and let me see where your pitfalls, or what questions I would ask coming at it from that side of the table. So yes, absolutely. And like, it's a muscle. I mean, being comfortable and uncomfortable is a skill that just has to be learned. You just have to do light reps before you do heavy reps, and it will pay off.
I just wanted to add to it, when and there's been many times I've been extremely uncomfortable, and it's like I get so itchy I can't even stand my own skin. One of the things that I found is extremely helpful is what happens when I get like that is just the fear of the unknown. And I find that when I help somebody else and just get out of my own head temporarily and put that problem on hold and just help somebody else, that's just enough to recalibrate the situation, the creativity, the wonderful feeling you get helping somebody else, and the new light when you step away and come back. And I just wanted to add that.
That's beautiful, Desiree. That's amazing. Yes, it's like there's a saying: if you have a problem, find a bigger problem. So if you're looking at something small and you've just been staring at it, like, okay, I'm going to now go call a friend, volunteer, look into something where I can make a bigger impact. Write a post or write something. Definitely a way to move forward. Thank you for sharing that. And of course, step 5 is remembering your commitment. So definitely you want to keep your North Star close by and reflect on it often. So this is pretty much where I'm concluding the workshop for today, because like I said, it's a very high level overview and I hit five different topics all together. So if you would like to connect on LinkedIn, just use the LinkedIn app and scan the QR code. If you'd like to go ahead and set up just a one-to-one, we can get to know each other better. I do have the honor of knowing most everybody on here, but I would love to talk to you more because it always helps to keep going with our one-to-one connections. So that should take you to a booking link, and that should take you, if you're using the LinkedIn scan app, add friends, that should work as well. And Christine is sharing, so I won't stop sharing. Christine is sharing, and we can let her wrap up the program in the usual way.
So we'll leave this time, since we have about 15 minutes left. I want to make sure that we're getting the most out of this session for those of you who are on right now. So I think it would be good to maybe add what is one thing that you took away from this presentation today that maybe you're going to reconsider, maybe how your own flow is, how your processes are, that you can immediately start implementing into your own business or even personal life, that may help you transition and functioning at a higher level. What is that one takeaway? So you can either put in the comments in the chat, or you can unmute yourself if you'd like.
Well, one good takeaway for me, because I've heard that speak in other places before, that I'm not necessarily stalking you. I just find you places. That's what it is.
It's okay.
The thing I do take away now is, and this reinforcement comes from Christine too, is that this whole thing of being a little bit more relaxed these days. In last year, I was a lot more tight around in my mind, a little bit more anxious around what clients can I get, can I really meet my goals, and then I actually have to scale back the revenue goals that I was thinking about, because I'm at a stage, fortunately, where I'm comfortable. So now I need to figure out, well, that means I can relax a little bit in the evenings, take 2-3 hours off after 6 o'clock and, chill. So things like that. So I don't know, maybe this is not what you wanted to convey, but I feel that, oh, I can, this is reinforcement for what I'm thinking. So I'm more relaxed.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you.
Scheduling time for yourself on your calendar. So you got an 8 o'clock meeting, you got an 8:30 meeting, a 9 o'clock something else, and 9:30, oh, snack time, written right on the schedule. That's all you do is eat a snack, maybe a protein bar or whatever you're doing. But 9:45, another appointment. 9:15 or 10:15, another appointment. 11 o'clock, exercise. I mean, on your schedule, make it part of your calendar. Don't have a separate personal calendar and a business calendar. It's all because it's all life, all of it. So put it all on the same calendar. And then you can see it all right down in a row every day. That works. At least for me, it does.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good point, Chris. As far as doing that, and one of the things, I mean, I'm blessed. My best friend is my wife too, and finding that I'm actually utilizing some of these things really kind of to help each other, through the weekend. We talk about each weekend, what was it we're going to try to accomplish. It's ultimately to whatever goals we're trying to also do, but what is a couple of things that we're going to try to do over the time that we have together, making sure that even today is like getting up early. It's like, yeah, I'm going to lay in bed just a little bit longer, and I ended up lay there like maybe 5 minutes, and then I said, I am going to get a walk in before work today, and I will do this. I am going to commit. So it's good reinforcement. So thank you in that respect, because it kind of reminds you what the ultimate goal is. In that respect, little reminders, I think, to ourselves. And I think that's where also having a reminder of family or mentors or whatever can be very beneficial to keep you on track.
Yeah, I continue to whittle away on the things. I'm sorry, Catherine.
Go
Go
ahead.
first.
Okay. I was going to say, I always like the reminder of the rocks visual, because it just brings back that, we need to prioritize, and those big rocks are our big priorities, and then all the little things kind of fall into place. So I always like to see that visual. It's a good reminder.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, Sylvia.
In the same vein, for me, it's like getting rid of all the stuff that doesn't matter really in the big picture, right? Because I mean, we can be busy all day long. There's never a shortage of what we could be doing, but does it really matter ultimately? So I think that I have and continue to work on eliminating things from my, even from what comes across my desk, because I don't need it. So that sort of frees up space.
Yeah, good point.
What else? Nothing else?
Well, Desiree mentioned takeaway being don't isolate because you have a community, and I think that's a great point. And I can't say enough about all the networking that I've been doing in the past year, how many people I've met, and that has not allowed for any time to feel isolated or, so it's just our communities are wonderful.
Yes,
Yeah.
and this is a great one that we have, and I appreciate all the vulnerability. Everybody came forward with sharing and had some beautiful suggestions, as well as some commitments that are very laudable, and I can see that they're working toward.
I think it's just, kind of piggybacking on that, just realizing you're not alone and the problems that you have, that you're like, no one else has this problem. We all have the same problems. How we deal with them is going to be different based off of, who we are as a person and our life experience and whatnot. But I think, if you really think about how much energy is wasted in dealing with certain things, and rather than trying to deal with it, I'm definitely that person. I'm like, I'm going to do everything. I'm going to fix everything. And then I'm like, oh my God, this is stuff I should not be doing. How much time did I just waste doing that? Something as simple as like landscaping. I'm more than capable of putting mulch down, but how much time is that going to take me? Versus if I hire someone who's really, really good at that. Yeah, I don't want to spend the money, but what is my time allocation for something like that? And I think looking at business can be the same way, having somebody just come in on a problem and just saying, hey, I just need 15 minutes. And it might save you like hours or longer. And just having that other perspective come in, help you solve whatever that is you're trying to solve.
Yeah, that's a great point as far as what your time is. I mean, I'm capable and, used to for years go out and, get all the groceries and play and everything. And this Saturday morning, placed my Instacart order, took a walk, and was coming back as they were completing, everything that they're going to be there 10 minutes later. And it's like, hey, I could have walked around the grocery store and although things are a little bit safer now, in that respect too, but it's like I did something else productively.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it cost me a few dollars, but there's a value in that and making sure what you could do. And I actually found myself because I had some people reaching out to me in respect to doing some different social service things. And I was saying, no, I can't do that now. My schedule is a little bit different. I've got some time, but I can't do that right now. And sort of felt bad as you, Christine, you want to try to help everybody,
Yeah.
but also I recognize I got to make sure that I'm also still focusing on what's the most important thing.
Yeah.
That's a great reminder that people have a really difficult time saying no, and that is probably the best thing that you can do for yourself. But you can do it in a nice way. I mean,
Yeah.
the German way is always like no and don't ask again. But the way I have the way I would do it now is like, oh, I wish I could, but I'm sorry, I can't.
Mhm.
Yeah.
The boundary setting is so important though. I mean, Tony was joking about me, but like, this is literally my biggest problem. Like, I want to help everybody and do everything. And I know a lot of you feel the same way, but it's like, okay, well, that's going to cost me something somewhere. It's going to affect me somewhere else. And I can't stay on the road I need to stay on if I'm helping other people all the time and not ever helping myself. And I think realizing that, your best help is still focusing on you. You're not being selfish. No one else is living your life but you, and no one else is running your business but you to a degree, unless even if you have partners, there's still that delegation aspect that needs to happen. There's certain things you probably shouldn't be doing because that's not what your expertise is in.
Mm-hmm. It's a responsibility. It's like, it's like a responsibility for you to be in. I read recently in a book, I think it was in Clockwork or maybe it was, anyway, you be the queen bee. Like you're the queen bee of your organization. And if you're not being that person, then you're diluting the responsibility. Like you're actually not being a responsible leader to be doing every little tiny thing. So like getting the groceries, it's like, no, someone else can get the groceries just as easy as I can get the groceries. Right. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, any other final takeaways? I think everyone had a chance to share.
Yeah.
So, we got a couple minutes left. So if you haven't put your LinkedIn in the chat, so just make sure you check the chat to connect with people who you have not already connected to. If you are, I think everyone here, Kathleen, are you in Ripple Effects? You're not in Ripple Effects, are you?
I am not in Ripple Effects, no.
Okay. So what's this week? I believe we have orientation. We have an info session this week. So if you want to learn more about that, you absolutely can. Next Monday, our roundtable is open again. And Catherine Shadowald is going to be running that roundtable on Monday. So just be on the lookout for that because I'm going to do another LinkedIn event post for that, and feel free to share so we can get additional people to show up who maybe wouldn't have otherwise been able to participate, and then we'll go back to our regular scheduled Ripple Effects members only for starting in May. And then how those sessions work. So, Kathleen, I know you haven't really had a chance to know what the roundtables are for. So sometimes we have speakers come in, and usually they're Ripple Effects members. Sometimes I have outside speakers. Usually the first 15 minutes, we kind of go through what are people looking for? Does anyone need help with anything? Sharing resources. And then we have a specific topic every Monday. And the topics range from just as like what Dia was doing, And then we have stuff, you know, marketing, branding, we talk about networking, we've talked about business plans, like everything you can think of, time management. We've been all over the place. So I've been running these roundtables every Monday for over a year now. So it's been there's only one Monday I missed last year, and that was Labor Day weekend because I was camping. So be on the lookout for that. If there's any additional topics, you know, that are important to you guys or that you're interested in maybe running, that would totally be fine as well. And I don't care if it's a quirky topic, because I think we all have a lot of shared interests, and it could be very simple things that not everybody knows how to do well. Like Chris, I think you would do a really good one on like the importance of, you know, having an audio brand. I think that might be a really good session as well.
Sure.
So something we could consider maybe for May. And there's one, let's see, Memorial Day is coming up, right? That's in May. So we will not be having any sessions that day, just because most people don't show up on holidays. So be on the lookout.
May I ask what the topic is for next week?
Well, Kathy's here, so you can speak about that, Kathy.
Yeah, I think the title was defining yourself. It's going to be talking about archetypes, and archetypes are it's a framework to look at your personality, and then how that can impact not just your own personal brand, but your leadership brand. So it'll be in context. So I'll give you a scenario, and then you're going to determine what you think your dominant archetypes are. So
Great.
That'll be next Monday.
Cool.
That would be super fun. I've taken that test, and it wasn't like too much of a surprise, but I have a lot of people who go through networking coaching take that same test, because it really helps you understand really who your clients should be and who you should really be surrounding yourself by based on your personality, and why any conflict that you might have might be because of that. And actually being like, okay, like I shouldn't be working with this type of person because it's just never going to work.